Hello, hello. This is Susan Bradley Bortfield, creator and founder of Coaches on the Rise and Partners at Play. I am so excited to have this amazing guest today, Cloris Kylie. She is so important to me personally, but she is also such an advocate to help coaches, leaders, entrepreneurs bring their gifts and message to the world in a bigger way by connecting with influencers. So hello, Cloris. Thank you for being here so much.
Well, it's a pleasure, Susan. Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome. So I'm going to just read Cloris's bio so you get a little feel of what she's about, and then we're going to deep dive right in. Okay? So let's see. So Cloris Kylie, Marketing MBA, helps entrepreneurs build authority, grow their list, and boost revenue by building long-term connections with influencers. The best-selling author of Beyond Influencer Marketing, Cloris has been featured on network television and on top-ranked podcasts and YouTube shows, including the #1 podcast for entrepreneurs, Entrepreneur on Fire. Cloris's articles have been published on websites with millions of followers, such as Tiny Buddha, Mind Body Green, and Addicted to Success. As the host of the Beyond Influencer Marketing podcast, Cloris has interviewed best-selling authors and world-class entrepreneurs such as Johnny Lee Dumas, Ryan Levesque, Chris Brogan, Bob Burg, Dory Clark, Neil Patel, and the 3 daughters of Wayne Dyer. Cloris's unique background in industrial engineering and marketing allows her to design efficient and effective solutions for her clients. But Cloris is also all heart, and she always says, reveal your magnificence. Ah, there. That's you in a nutshell.
Yeah, thank you, Susan. Yeah, I mean, I like to share all the platforms that I've been a guest on in my bio, not just because it's nice. Oh, it's nice that people are talking about me. No, it's because that's what has really helped me grow my business. You know, without those connections, without those special appearances in front of ideal audiences, I wouldn't be here today. So that's why I make a lot of emphasis on that.
No, I mean the podcast and interviews that you have done, including television, says everything about what you stand for, right? And that is the influencer connection. And so I'm really super excited to have you here. And most of the people in my circle, my clients, know that I am a huge advocate, and I include your book, Beyond Influencer Marketing, in all my programs because it's that important. And so when I say connecting with influencers is very important for your business, even when you're brand new, why would you say that is true?
It's true because if you try to do it on your own, it's really very hard to stand out. I mean, it's a really crowded marketplace. And that's what I did at the beginning. I would just start cranking content, right? I would have my podcast radio show all on my own, monologues. I would post articles on my blog pretty much every day. I was posting on social media, creating the images for the social media posts. It was exhausting, and I wasn't really getting anywhere. And I reached a point that I was ready to really quit. I said, this is not worth it, all this work for nothing. But then I realized that why not share my message in front of a captive audience, an audience that is just perfect for me. All I have to do is go there and share what I know, and that was the secret. That was it. So I would say if you're brand new, it's even more important for you to start creating these relationships. Once you have a lot of momentum, yes, you will always need your relationships, but when you're starting out, it's not just for inspiration. It's about you getting the momentum you need to get those clients, to get the business going and growing, and that can make all the difference. Yeah.
It's so true because in the beginning, it is like being on an island with yourself, right? All by yourself. Yeah. And it's like, okay, as a coach, I'm so passionate about helping others, and I have a message, and I want to help as many people that I can. But you're right. It's like trying to do everything yourself and just plugging away and plugging away. It's like taking the slow train to where you want to go. So, and when you're involved with others, such as yourself, right? When you're involved with others, it kind of ignites you. It
Right.
excites you, right? Because there's so much in those relationships. So we connected, and actually I was connecting in the right way to you as the influencer, but I wasn't aware of what I was doing back then, but it just, you know, so I just started talking about you and sharing you, and you were so generous in what you provided me to share with my audience. It's like we clicked right away. And so I want that for all
Right.
the coaches, anybody that's watching this interview. I really want them to be able to understand that you don't have to go it alone. And even those with large audiences, they're always looking to make those new connections, and it goes both ways. So if you have a podcast, right,
Right.
you're always looking for new guests,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, exactly. I would say it's easy to think if you're a new coach that, okay, when I reach X or Y level, that's when I'll be ready, right, to connect with an influencer. Or why would an influencer be interested in connecting with me if I'm just starting out, right? So I think it all starts with, I guess, realizing or becoming aware of your own value. And it could be something as basic, but as important as your gifts, right? Your expertise, that's value. So if you can go to someone's podcast and share a perspective that hasn't been shared before, something that helps their audience, that's their number one priority, to help their audience, then you're delivering value. So you have to start kind of taking inventory of your value, and that's why I talk about it in the book extensively, because of that. So that's just one example, right? But value also could be to support the influencer, like you did, Susan, with just sharing my message and being there and supporting what I do. That is amazing value. So all influencers appreciate that. I always talk about just sending a heartfelt email or letter to the influencer explaining how they have changed your life. You'll be noticed, and then you'll start creating that relationship. People appreciate you. They see that you really want to support them, and in turn they want to support you and help you share your message as well.
So my audience is very aware of Dr. Wayne Dyer, right?
Yeah.
And I love when I still get his emails, even though he's been passed for a long time. He is such just he really has made a huge impact in my life, and I know he has in yours. So this is one way that you reached out to. Do you want to share how you reached out to Wayne and he ended up supporting you even in when you were just beginning?
Yeah, I was just starting out. I was just starting to write the draft of my first book. It was a personal development book I wrote for women who were, at the end of their marriages. They wanted to get their life back together. But I didn't even have a book yet. I just wanted to do this. I wanted to help people, right? And Dr. Wayne Dyer's books had been essential for me to overcome my own problems, right? So every time I wasn't feeling good, I would just read his books, and it would really help me get through that. So I wrote a letter to him because I was so grateful, and sent this letter to the publisher, to Hay House. I didn't know, but just said, okay, well, that's his publisher. And to be honest, I didn't think he would read it. I said, what are the chances, right? This is a person who has sold millions of books, who's always traveling. He will never get this letter, but I didn't care. I just wanted to express those feelings. But then a couple of weeks later, I go to check the mail, and there was a letter from Hawaii, and that was from Dr. Wayne Dyer. He had read my letter. It had really touched him. And he was going to speak in New York City, which is not that far from where I live. It's about 2.5 hours drive or train ride. And I was going to that conference. So I requested in my letter, I would love to meet you in person, if that's okay, just to say thank you. And he said, yes, look for my assistant. Her name is, whatever her name was, and she'll take you backstage. So I did that, and that's how we first connected. And from there, he really supported me and my message. So yes, it all started with a letter. That was all.
Right. And so that's how it started with you, right? I just wanted to express my gratitude for how much you have helped me on my journey. And the same thing, it starts with gratitude.
Right.
And so no matter how influential the influencer is, they still appreciate when you express gratitude, right? Because if they are doing it right, they'll always remember that it's their clients that got them to where they are, right? So they always will be appreciative when you do support them. And so that's, I think that's the biggest thing. Like, you talk in your program and in your book the wrong ways to connect, okay?
Right.
This book, I love that. First of all, I just want to just take a moment and say this book is like worth its weight in gold, like seriously, because she not only addresses you, whether you're a blogger or a coach, if you want to reach out to leaders in public, your public leaders, she breaks it all down, and she really is very specific on how you reach out to that type of influencer, what you should do. She gives you action steps. She really sets you in motion. And she's such a giver that she includes templates and everything that you have access to, which is so amazing. So put this on your Christmas list. Get the book. Like, seriously, it might be a few days, a little bit after Christmas, but treat yourself, okay? Do yourself a huge favor and get her book. So in your book, you talk about it, and you talk about it a lot. And I think it's really important here because it's not okay. Like, you have a podcast, and you have many leaders on your podcast that have podcasts, right?
Right.
And you have asked them the question. Like, what do you not like? When you ask the question. That's the beautiful thing. It's like you're not just Spartan stuff. Like, you've done your due diligence, you've done your homework, so you know what they're looking for and what they're not looking for. So do you want to share some of that?
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the biggest mistakes when you try to reach out to an influencer, I would say it's well, first of all, selecting the wrong influencer. Because you might think that because somebody has a huge audience, then that person would be perfect to connect with. But I guess your heart is not in it, right? Like, you just know, oh, they have a huge audience. It would be great if they promoted me. My life would change. My business would change. And then you go out and reach out to them because there's not a match between your values and that person's values. You're doing this just because you want them to eventually promote you to their audience. They might not get back to you. They might not appreciate that gratitude that we've been talking about might not be there. And even if they do appreciate what you do and they eventually have you on their podcast or promote your program, you will not get results as good as results as you would have wanted, just because that audience is not a good match for you, right? So that's the first thing.
And you guys receive enough requests for interviews, right? You receive so many requests from people saying, I want to be on your show, that all of you, Johnny Lee Dumas, all of you are like, you're human BS meters. Like, you can look at that email and be like, yeah, no, right? So
right.
when people's intention is not pure. So what are other things? I just wanted to mention that, like, don't do it.
Yeah, no, not at all. And also don't try to make this like a mass type of of effort, like a batching effort. And you're going to say, okay, I'm going to reach out to 200 influencers today. One of them will say yes. And then you basically send a mass email to all of them. Just change the first name if you remember. I get a lot of emails that don't even have my name. They say hi, comma, and then they ask, I want to be on your podcast. I want to have my article published on your blog. So you definitely have to select people carefully and show them that you care about them and their message. If you just go with a generic email, you will not get any responses. You will not really, because again, your intentions are not to deliver value. That's the number one thing, to realize that your first step is to deliver value to that influencer, right? To figure out what is the best way I can support them. For example, if they have a new book come out, you read that book, you post a review on Amazon. If they have a podcast, listen to the show, post a review, and then let them know that you love the show and you would love to be part of it, right? So you got to deliver value first and then reach out to the influencer. So I would say not having that attitude is one of the biggest mistakes people make.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm always saying, in any relationship and as a coach, like to my clients, and you feel the same way, it's like you provide value first and then you ask them to take the next step. And it's the same thing in the influencer relationships. It's like, don't come at them like me, right? So it is a co-creation.
Right.
And so what are some of the biggest mistakes that you have seen that people, hi, comma, is one of them, right? So
Yeah.
if you're going to do an email, put their name.
Yeah.
But what are some of the other crazy things that people do, like you see a lot of, like some common things?
Yeah. Well, you see a lot of people um, like pretending that they're supporting you, but they go into like the real objective too fast or too soon. So for example, I've had people who are connected to me on Facebook, and they would so liked my post and maybe put a comment here and there, and then soon after, like I would say a couple of days later, they would send an email or a message on Facebook, oh, I would like to meet with you. So I'm thinking, oh, they just want to get to know each other offline, which is fine. So we get on the call, and the first thing they say, oh, I have this program that I think you would love to promote, right? So they don't even want to get to know me better. They just
Right.
want to tell me about their program, right? So that's another mistake that I see. People just try to go into that again, what isn't it for me, and just destroy the relationship, really.
Right. So what they did there was they made the relationship about that 1 minute. They
Right.
didn't think about, hey, if you guys connected, you would have been an advocate for them the whole way through, because that's just who you are. When you really connect with someone, you are supportive and you do really care about what they're doing. And so don't think about the relationship for that one moment.
Yeah,
It
it's
is.
true. Yeah, and think about how this fits into your entire business strategy, because I mean, this is not mistake related to connecting with influencers, but it's a mistake related to the whole strategy behind it. And what people do is say, oh, if Oprah mentions my book, then I'm all set. I can just sit back and relax and don't have to work anymore, right? So I don't have to get ready for it. I'll just connect with her, and that'll be a solution to all my problems. And they don't really focus on having a strong foundation for their business. So they don't have, for example, if I ask, Susan, do you have something that you could talk about for my audience? You'll be ready, right? You have topics that you have also prepared ahead of time. You have a lead magnet to welcome people to your list of subscribers. So a lot of people go into this without being prepared. So yes, they get the opportunity sometimes because they've been so giving and the influencer wants to help them, but it all becomes like something nice, like a nice memory, a nice experience, but there's nothing tangible, right? Because yes, as much as you want to deliver value, and this is just beautiful to create a relationship, you also have to think about, how can I make this work for my business? How can I transform this into a way for me to reach ideal clients? So that is a big mistake I see people make as well.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing, right? Because how, are you good for their audience should probably be your first question. And
Mm.
then get to know the influencer, like check out, watch their shows, read their blogs, connect, and really like, if it doesn't feel like you want to have that relationship go beyond one podcast, it's probably not the right fit for
Right.
you. Is that true?
That is correct. You have to have a short-term and a long-term approach. That's what we do in 10 influencers in 7 weeks. It's my program. We connect with 10 influencers, a minimum of 10 influencers. And the first step is to determine that short-term objective, which could be that. It could be to be on their podcast, to have an article of yours posted on their blog. It could be to have a meeting one-on-one. If it's a local person, then you meet in person. That could be the first objective. But then you must have a long-term objective for that person. And that could be to do a JV webinar, right? So a joint venture webinar. It could be to have one of your products be a bonus to one of their products. It could be to do an event together, right? I have a client of mine, she connected with an influencer, they're doing an event, a live event together. Now they're putting, all those audiences being there with the people really connect. She's all excited about it. So that's just an example. So many ways to connect at a high level. So keep that present, but don't make that your short-term objective. First, you gotta, take baby steps until you get to that.
Because it is a relationship that you're
Right.
building. And
Yeah.
when you do have that connection between you and the influencer where it's a mutual respect, you receive so much more than you could ever hope for. It is true. So if someone were to email you, what's an example of things that you love to see? Like if somebody were to reach out to you
Yeah.
via email and wanting to be on your podcast, what is
Yeah.
something that you love to see?
I love it when people mention something about the show that they love. So I love Beyond Influencer Marketing podcast because the other day you had Bob Berg on your show, and he talked about the whole philosophy to gain influence by giving. I so agree with that, and I know that you agree with that too because I read your book. So they show that they know me, and
Yeah.
then they say, by the way, I know Bob talked about gaining influence by being a giver. But I do have a story that I'd like to share with your listeners. It would be great. I did something similar, but then I added a little something at the end that is different, right? So they give it a different twist to something that I have done or a guest that I've had. And I'm like, oh, yeah, sure. I would love to have you on the show, right? Because, again, I want to deliver value to my audience. So when they show that they have actually listened to the show, that's when I pay attention. I get countless emails from podcast agencies, those agencies that help you land a podcast appearance, and that just basically uh, does not help you. It hurts you actually, because all of their pitches are the same.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's getting, at first it might have been a good way to get your foot
right.
in the door, but now, like, Johnny, I know Johnny Lee has talked about this as well as many other influences. It's like, nope, nope, won't even read it, right? Won't even get past the virtual assistant, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, it's true.
so I know when I wanted to connect to Christy Whitman, when I wrote my email, it was like I told her, how much she really helped me on my journey. And
Mm,
that's where I started, right? So I said, I would love to interview you
yeah,
and promote what you have going on. And on a Sunday, I sent it on a Sunday morning. By Sunday dinner, I had a hell yes, right?
that's great.
So because I connected with letting her know
Mm,
why she made, why it's important to me to
right.
have this, right? So, um, what are some other key things that a newbie, like somebody that's just
Yeah.
starting out, like they really do think that they're not ready to have those influencer relationships. But I think you and I connected like 3 months out of the gate, right? For me.
Mm.
And so what would you suggest that they focus on when connecting to the influencer if they're brand new?
Well, I would say that you're very clear about who you want to reach and what your message is. Because if you don't really know your audience, then you will not be able to find the right influencers, right? You might connect with someone who reaches a very different audience from ideal clients. And although it's nice, you will not really see those tangible results in the form of growing list and form of new clients. So that's important. And then that you have your expertise as a coach, you have something that you're really good at. So be able to express that clearly, and not just say I'm a life coach, I'm a business coach. I don't know, like whatever it is, just like a generic term. You really have to have a value proposition that shows what matters to you, right? Like maybe a little bit of your story, something to differentiate yourself, that really stands out in the eyes of the influencer. And the next thing is just that giving attitude, that you really want to find what you can do to deliver value to the influencer. I've had a lot of people. There's one lady who she was just so nice. She just signed up for my list. And every time I would write a good message, she would reply. It's like, oh, I love this because X and Y, and I love this podcast episode. She was very involved. And then I started to check out, she had a signature on her email. So I felt compelled to check out her website. Then I realized that she's a proofreader. So when it came time for me to proofread my book, guess who I called, right? I call her. And now I put her in my most important resources and people I go to. So when my clients need a proofreader, then I send them her way, just because of how supportive she has been. She did a fantastic job too. So of course I continue to support her and send her clients. But that's just an example though. You just gotta have that giving attitude, know exactly who you want to reach, what your message is, and then have that foundation. I mean, ideally, if you have a featured appearance, you'll have a way to capture people's information so you can stay in touch with them. So if it's a live event that you're giving, then bring a piece of paper with, collect people's names, email addresses, phone numbers. If you're doing it online, have a lead magnet, something that you're going to give to people and collect email addresses. And you have to be ready to stay in touch with that audience.
Yeah. And when you're asking the influencer for support, let them know why you are good for their audience.
Right.
Right? Let them know why you are good for their audience, not
Yes.
why it's good for you.
It's true. Yeah, you gotta mention what the things that you have of value, your expertise, how is a good fit for their audience. So in the podcast pitch template that I have actually within the book bonuses, I go into that, I love your show because of X and Y. These are the things I could do for your audience that are different. This is maybe a sample of what I've done before, and then an invitation then to have you on the show. And then go for it. I mean, if you never do it, how will you know? If you keep waiting for something to happen for you to do this, how will you know if you're going to be successful? Just take action and do it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So beyond your book, you also do this really amazing 7-week program that really helps, the entrepreneur really connect with those influencers, how to connect, what mistakes to avoid. And you've had great success in that program. And I know that it's not running right now. I think, are you in the middle of it or something? But it's going to be available in early January, like February 1st, right? Or something.
Yeah. Yep. Because
So,
what happens, yes, go ahead, Susan.
so I mean, I cannot recommend Cloris enough. Like seriously, like she is on, like she said, she has a resource list. I have a resource list, and Cloris is on it, right? So I know that not only does she know her stuff, but she really cares about what she does. She is a go-giver. She adds so much value to what she does. She's really invested in the success of her clients. So I highly, highly recommend, if you are not sure, you know that you want to connect with influencers, but you're not sure how to do it. First of all, get her book and then take her 7-week course. So just reach out to Cloris on her website, or email. Actually, her website's probably best, right? Just send her a message
Yeah.
that you want to be notified when that program comes out, because it's going to give you a huge head start. And um, and I just wanted to mention, this is another reason why it's really important to have relationships beyond yourself. As a solopreneur, it's very, very difficult. But what happens when life takes a turn that you didn't expect, right? So Cloris has experience in that, and we were talking about it. So I'd like, if you would just share, why is it important to have those relationships when life happens?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, those relationships will help you overcome the tough times and to help you keep your business going. I mean, I was out of commission for about 4 months after suffering a concussion. And all the sources of income that I had during that time were from influencer collaboration. So I had a program that I had promoted, which provided affiliate income. People continued to promote my interviews and things I had done for them. So I would continue to grow my list during that time. So it allowed me to keep going. I mean, people would reach out to me. Of course, I couldn't take on any new clients, but I was having the the momentum still strong, rather than being out for so much time that people just forgot about me. Right? I remained present because people continue to share my message. I didn't have to share it myself. And not only that, but I belong to a mastermind with influencers, and the leader of the mastermind really told everybody, who can help Cloris out, and not just with business stuff, but who's in her area who can drive and bring her some food or something. So, yeah, so that's just an example, because we've built this connection that is a strong connection. So people just want to help you. So I would say yes, in the good times and the bad times, having relationships with influencers will help you. So it's definitely something that you must do. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful, beautifully said, because, ask yourself, what would happen if you were out of commission for 4 months? Would your business survive? Would you have added income coming in that will help you through that time? So I wanted to bring that up, because it really is a factor as an entrepreneur, right?
Right.
Um, so you have a summit that you're going to be involved in coming up in January. So I'm going to include the link along with this interview, so that people can sign up for that. I know that you're super excited about that. And then February, of course, your 7-week program starts. You have so much going on to support entrepreneurs, coaches, leaders, etc. You are such a gift in this world, and I so appreciate you. Um, and if you go to Cloris's website, there is a guide. There's a 15 ways to get noticed by influencers guide that she has on her website. So definitely check that out.
Yeah, you can just go to cloriskylie.com/influencer, and you'll just access the guide directly. So yeah.
Okay, beautiful. And I'll definitely put the link with this interview. Cloris, do you have anything else that you would like to share before we close this out?
Well, I would say, don't let those, thoughts about you not being ready prevent you from starting these relationships. As Susan has said several times, this is a relationship, right? So you got to start building it sooner rather than later. I think the book will inspire you. The summit is amazing. I have like awesome speakers, all of them top influencers. I wanted to have people who had a large platform share how they have gotten to where they are. So you will learn from them and you can connect with them because we're going to have a Facebook group where you can go and interact with the speakers. So what a better way to start a relationship than by saying, I watched your presentation on the summit. It was awesome. This is what I loved about it. And then what the next step, right? So be sure to take advantage of that and just do it. Of course, I'm going to start the program. Consider that as well. I just want you to take action instead of waiting and waiting for that moment that might never arrive if you procrastinate. So just believe in yourself. Take small steps, even if it's a small niche influencer who has a small audience but very engaged audience that can really change things for you. So just do it. Yeah.
Do it. Just do it. Oh, you've been so amazing. I'm so grateful. Thank you very much. And for all of you watching this broadcast, leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about this. And yes, I would love to hear from you. So have a fabulous, fabulous day. Much love and light. Thank you.